Yeah, we don't need these. Nope, those good. Yep. Don't need those. Let's talk about small games today, shall we? Hello and welcome, my fellow nerds, back to Nerd In, or if you're brand new here, thank you so much for tuning in. I am Christian, and I'll be your host for this evening on Totally Bored. And like I said in the intro, we're talking about small games tonight, and I'm going to be explicitly talking about why we need to praise small games more. I know there's a lot of love in general already for pocket-sized and travel-sized games. I just kind of want to throw in some more details as to why they're important. Yes, we love the big games. We love those big experiences. Things that really bring a whole table together for this climactic moment and provide stories forever. But the small games are honestly just as important, and it's something that I get sucked into a lot when thinking about these, is I kind of forget that they're a thing. Because my game days, I just want the big stuff. I want those big experiences. I want the grandiose stuff. I want to feel like my time mattered and I did a lot. I mean, yes, at the end of the day, it's all just gaming. You can consider it a waste of time in certain circumstances. I never would. I personally think it's a valuable use of time in ways of just helping ourselves get through life. So small games specifically just offer such a different experience than these big games, and you can find big games in small boxes. For example, Gloomhaven Buttons and Bugs is an entire solo campaign adventure just tucked into this little thing that I could probably just about fit in my pocket here. Let me find out. Let's... Maybe? Yep, there we go. She's in there. I'm going to leave that there for the rest of the video now, or at least until I need to talk about it again. So that's the type of game that we're talking about, is smaller boxes, but big experiences and important experiences, and why they matter. So I just want to start this off by kind of giving more of a definition on what I think an important small game really is to me, and that is something that is going to give you a similar feeling to what a big game would in a shorter time and a condensed package. A lot of these games are going to play in 20 minutes or less, but they still feel almost as extravagant and as thought-provoking and as engaging as some of the bigger game titles out there. So we're going to go through all of these, well, maybe not like in full detail, but we're going to give at least an explanation as to why they're in my collection, why I think they're important for other people's collections, and maybe ideas for you to look into for more games to have around your table. So, let's get into it. Starting off here with probably one of the most prominent ones is Hive Pocket Edition. This is literally just a two-player chess-like game about bugs. The theming is not important, the setting is not important. The pieces are quite nice. They are very important because that's your whole thing. But the strategy and the mind-burning behind this for a two-player experience is just flawless. You play it in like less than 15 minutes. It's a great time. Both players feel like they have a very good back and forth going, and it brings in some serious moments of tension where you're just about to seal off your opponent's queen, and the next thing you know, they've moved it completely out of the way, doing something that you did not see coming at all. And it's very clever and evokes a lot of the same feelings that I would get in other games, such as like Kelp, another two-player experience that feels very strategic and very, oh, I did not see that move coming. That actually caught me off guard and was very smart. This gives you a lot of those moments as well in like a fraction of the time. I would say Kelp on average takes probably about 45 minutes to an hour. This takes 15 minutes. So you can do 3 rounds of this in the time it would take to do Kelp. And this you can take anywhere. It's waterproof. It's just like, it's literally bags with acrylic tokens. That's all you're dealing with. Well, then obviously a rule book if you need to carry along with you like me for reference. But yeah, you just get these nice hexagonal acrylic tiles that I'm dropping on the floor now, apparently, that you just build the board out of as you're going. They're your pieces, they're your board, they're your end game, they're everything. It's just a set of tiles, but it provides So much value for what it gives to you. Next up here is all of the mint games that I have, or that my dad and I have. If you watched my stats video, you'll know about these already, but these are literally just little pocket games based on mints. Like, the tokens are literally pretty much just Altoids, and they all feel very satisfying in their own ways. Mint Cooperative offers a strategic cooperative experience that involves rolling dice to be able to take actions and doing all sorts of cool stuff. And it's 1 to 4 players, so you can even play this solo. You can take it on the go. It doesn't take up a whole lot of table space. It takes like 2 minutes to set up, and you're in and playing. And it's not very hard to learn, but it is a great time that delivers this moment of tension of, can the team do it, or are we going to succumb to this villain? Very good tense moments there. Mint control is a little more iffy. This one is an area control game in a pocket. 1 to 4 players, again, has a solo mode, but delivers a good experience nonetheless. And again, all in like 20 minutes or less. I mean, cooperative does say 15 to 30 on it. I don't think it's really going to get to that point, but if you're really debating and strategizing and stuff, I can see it taking that long. And of course, the best of the bunch, Mintworks, just a whole worker placement game in a mint tin. I can't tell you the amount of times I have been in the mood for a worker placement game, but I didn't have anything available because they're like a table spanning experience, and all I have is this little itty bitty table because sometimes that's the only access I have. This fits in there perfectly. I get the itch of filling that worker placement spot for a fraction of the size, a fraction of the time, and a fraction of the cost. And at a time where money is everything, having smaller games like this is just imperative because they are so cheap and so effective at what they do. Next, we have Tinderblocks, another tin game that's a full dexterity experience in just the palm of your hand. And it is so cheeky, it is so fun, still provides moments of tension, but it's just also so silly that it brings out laughs all around the table. This plays 2 to 6 players in just this little thing. So you can see where I'm going already. You can get very big experiences out of just these little boxes. You don't need the big boxes to get everything that you want. Sometimes you can break it down into these mini experiences that still evoke the same feelings, just in a shorter time frame, and again, a fraction of the space. And that's something us as board gamers, I think, struggle with is, well, finding space for our games. With these, it's not really a hassle. Again, you can just throw them just right in your pocket. I mean, I still have Gloomhaven in my front pocket. We'll throw Mintworks in my back pocket. So we got that there. And we got games like Sushi Go. If you're looking for more of a card game experience, this is literally just a drafting game. It plays 2 to 5, really kind of ideally 3 to 5, but 2 is still fine. And yeah, just again, doesn't take up that much space. It's nice and easy. It's nice and compact. And it's just great to have on hand. You can also even get bigger experiences than what I've been describing so far out of things like Chomp and Sail. Sail is a great 2-player game that is kind of like Sky Team, honestly, but it's trick-taking instead of dice rolling, and you're just trying to move your boat across the ocean, avoiding the Kraken, being able to deal damage to it to stay alive, and you get 5 rounds to make it to the end point to be able to survive. It's very challenging, very thinky. I think this is honestly harder than Sky Team. Provides a lot of challenge and lets you get really intimate with one person to try to figure out the way that they think. And it even has deluxe component options. If you're like dedicated enough, like me, I did get those components. It's a great game, and look at how small it is. I can pretty much almost wrap my hands around it. I'm very close to being able to do that. Another nice small game. Same thing with Chomp. You get a tile laying game, basically, that you're overlaying these tiles or putting them next to each other, using the other sides as scoring objectives, just trying to get points out of all these dinosaurs. Again, very thinky, very nice. Also has deluxe components. They aren't just for big games. You can get great stuff like this in little packages. I honestly really give Allplay a lot of credit for this because pretty much all of their games are like this size, and they all deliver really good experiences that, again, don't take very long. Chomp, 20 minutes. Sail, if you're just going through like one mission, yeah, probably about 20 minutes as well. And they're just extravagant. And then on top of that, you have Trailblazers. Need I say more? I did a whole review on this game, so I'm not going to delve too much into this one there. If you want to see that, you can check the info card up in the top corner there to be able to get my thoughts on this. But This is like the perfect travel game. Not in all scenarios. Sometimes it takes up a bit of table space once you get it all set out, but literally having just this to be able to take with me, and I have a full game, and it's like a 40-minute game, give or take, depending on your player count especially, but it is a perfect solo game. It plays well at multiplayer. This covers like so many bases in just this little clamshell case, which even comes with a carabiner if I'm so inclined to just put it on my belt loop. Boom. I am carrying 3 games in my pockets right now. Now, other card games and stuff, of course, you have Renowned Scout, you have Sea Salt and Paper. Oink Games is like notorious for pocket games. You can do stuff like Deep Sea Adventure, you can do In a Grove if you want a deduction game this size. Like, there are a ton of options to get so many different experiences. And of course, my favorite, Deducto. Just a nice, easy deduction card game. Like, these all have seen play in my house so many times because they are just so easy to bust out, so easy to set up. But what's the actual point I'm trying to make here? Like, these are all great games. Yes, we know. They're all fantastic. But what's the actual point I'm trying to make here? Well, the point I'm trying to make here is that small games are more than they appear. They seem very simple, very lackluster on the surface. But these games, again, just provide so much emotion. I mean, look at how back and forth I went on Sea Salt and Paper alone. I played this game like 17 times in a month with my dad, and I went from loving it to hating it to loving it again to just not being sure about it. And right now I'm still kind of in the middle, but it's a game that provokes emotion in such a small box. Like, it's literally just a deck of cards. That is it. There's nothing else in here. And yet it still really got me, like, engaged with it. I was thinking about it a lot, and that's something I thought I would only ever say with the big games, but these ones really provide just as much emotion, sometimes if not more than those bigger games. Like, for example, I'm going to pull it off my belt now because I don't want it to rip my belt loop. Trailblazers, this game is tough. This game is insane. I'm constantly thinking about it. I lose all the time, but I'm still always just thinking about the next play. And the reason that is because it is just so easy to bust out and play whenever I want to that I don't have to get bogged down in this thought process of, oh, I want to play this game, but the setup just sounds too annoying and I don't want to deal with it. This, I literally just go ahead and open the thing, pull out my deck of cards, pull out my challenge cards and my camps. Boom, I'm ready to play. Like, it literally took me 5 seconds, if that. And having experiences like that are very important because there are going to be times, me especially, I deal with this all the time, where I am in the mood for playing a game, but I don't want to go through the hassle of setup. It just sounds too exhausting, or maybe I don't have enough time for a full board game. So I just bust out one of these. Like, I have literally, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, hold on. Gotta get it back out now. 5, and 6. I have 6 games just right here already that I can bust out and play solo. I don't need anybody else to be in the mood for playing games. I can just pull them out and be like, alright, I want to play a worker placement game. Bust out Mint Works. I feel like laying some tiles. Let's do Trailblazers or Chomp. You know, maybe I want to save a city from villainy. I have Mint Co-op. Just perfect. Or I want a campaign experience. But again, not a whole lot of the setup. There's a little more to buttons and bugs. I'll give it that. But still, having just these small packages that don't feel very intimidating is so handy for any gamer that I feel like they are just a necessity for everyone to have some type of setting for small games. And I usually keep these separate from my collection. You'll see I brought this tote out at the beginning of the video because that's where I keep all of my small games. They are all separated into this so that I have easy access to them. I can keep my big games separate from my small games. It just provides more organization. And obviously this is just a lot less intimidating than seeing a bunch of odd-shaped boxes kind of scattered everywhere. So I thought that was a good solution there. But so that's one of the few points that I want to make about owning small games. Another one is that, yeah, they are simple, but that's kind of like the point of them. Again, easy games to just be able to bust out, be able to say you played a game. So if you're mentally or physically exhausted, you have things to fall back on that you're still able to play in the meantime that are still, again, going to give you some of those similar experiences as the big boxes. Would I replace Honey Buzz with Mintworks? No, absolutely not ever. But if I don't feel like going through the rigmarole of actually setting up Honey Buzz, or, you know, trying to get everything ready for it, or even just having that long of a playtime, I still have Mintworks that can, again, scratch some of that same itch for me and give me the same satisfaction and feeling that I am looking for in a game. And that's ultimately what these games come down to, is how they make us feel, because that's why we play games, to feel better and feel like we had a good time, which you can still get just fine out of these in a fraction of everything. I'm just going to use that phrase from now on. The small games are a fraction of everything. They're a fraction of the size, a fraction of the price, and a fraction of the time. And but they're not a fraction of the fun. That is a one thing they are not. The other point that I want to make here is that if you want to introduce new people into this hobby, you have people that have only ever played stuff like Monopoly, Sorry, and Clue, all of the old classics. You want to try to bridge them into some of the new stuff? Start them off with a small game. They see a small little tin like this and they're thinking, okay, well that doesn't seem so bad. This should be pretty easy. It's still going to give them a gamey experience without being too difficult to learn and without being too scary. It's not like you're pulling out this big old hunkin' box to get somebody into the hobby. If I was a first-time gamer, I had never played a modern board game before, and somebody busted out a box this size, I'm walking away from the table. If they bust out something like this, it's a lot more approachable. Not even just in art and theme, but like literally just the size of the box. If you had never played modern board games before, would you want to play a game that basically takes an entire workout to lift up and then, well, an entire length of a game to be able to set it up? I mean, I love Septima, don't get me wrong. I will play this any chance that I get. But if I'm not in the mood for it, or if I'm trying to get somebody new into the hobby, I am not going to a game like this. I am going to something like this because, again, it's a great way to bridge people in, let them know what the hobby is like from a smaller standpoint. It's a great gateway to be able to expand people into the universe and give them room to understand it all. You start off small and you work your way big. And in some cases, that is literal. Like, that's not even a sixth of the size of the cover in just this little game. So, yeah. Small games. Do it. It's great. And one final point I want to make with all of these is, well, again, it really comes down to that size, and a problem that we as board gamers suffer. We feel the need to absorb and consume and get all of these insane games, but we don't always have the room for them, and it gets to a point where we get so many games that we don't get to play all of. We'll get games that sit on our shelves for months that just don't see play because they're too big and we just have too many big experiences. Life needs balance. Not everything can be big and grandiose. Sometimes you just need those little things to fill those nice little spaces. You can't leave empty holes, otherwise it's just gonna cause problems. So why not fill in those holes of consumption with something smaller, something easier, and something that will actually get played. Something that will be worth its value. If you get a big game, it doesn't matter what it costs. If it doesn't get played, it's not worth it. And I have seen too many people, and I'm not calling anyone out specifically or saying that this is like something they need to correct. You can do you. I don't know your financial situations, but there are so many people that buy games that just sit on a shelf like an art piece and never get played. They never see the light of day. And it's so sad for games to go through that, I think, personally. So instead of getting that, you know, you can get like 5 or 6 of these games for the cost of the average medium-sized board game. And you could be getting experiences out of those immediately rather than waiting 2 years before you finally crack open the lid of a box. Now, personally, I am fortunate. I have played pretty much every game I get almost as soon as it comes through. I have exactly one game on my shelves that I have not played yet, and that is Smartphone. And I do plan to get to it at some point. I'm just working around to it. But that's the excuse all of us as gamers make. Oh, we'll get to it at some point. But we know we just keep going back to the same games that we really enjoy over and over again, and we're a lot less likely to touch those games than we think we actually are. So I suggest getting games like these that are just a lot easier to actually get value out of. If you're looking to save some money, but you still want to get games, you can save money by getting cheaper games that will actually get play and, you know, get their mileage out of them. Like Sea Salt and Paper, this is, I believe, a $20 card game, like 18, 20 bucks. These cards are beat up already from how much they've been played. And I only got this game at the start of this year. I've since given it to my dad, who has played it a couple of times on his own, as well as with me. But, like, this game has gotten so much more mileage than a lot of my bigger games on my shelf because it's just so much easier to play. It packs a lot of punch, and it still gives me the experiences I'm looking for. And there's no reason to not do pocket games. I really can't see any. And I mean, of course, in and of itself, they're travel games. You can take them with you. They're great for road trips and vacations and conventions and even just going to a friend's house or going to like a family event. If you've got time to just sit down and play a game with a few people, you can get some social interaction that way. And really, these are also a great way to get people into a social circle. Like if you're socially awkward like I am, you struggle talking to new people, you've got the perfect icebreaker. If you can get someone to sit down and play a game, you don't even have to worry from that point on. You get into the comfort zone of playing a game while breaching out of your comfort zone of not being a social person. And I know I seem like I'm social because I talk a lot and I ramble a lot in these videos, but I really am not great at being social and interacting with new people. So if I can get them to sit down and play a game, I will get to know that person in and out by the end of it. Or at least by the end of that session. Because I'm just naturally chatting at that point. I'm getting into the flow of the game. And it's just letting everybody loosen up and be familiar with each other. And it's a great time for that as well. There are so many things that small travel games cover perfectly. I can't emphasize it enough. They are important to every gamer's collection. And I don't know what more you want out of it. Again, this probably isn't a hot take at all. There's a lot of people in this hobby that appreciate and love these small games. I just wanted to put a little more emphasis on it because a lot of the time what gets pushed to all of us is these bigger, grandiose experiences that have a pretty hefty price tag on them and that we're pretty sure we're never going to play, but we still want to get anyways because it looks really cool and it looks like a lot of fun. And I would encourage you to maybe step out of that trap a little bit more and try branching out into more of this stuff, finding more of these smaller experiences that are still going to deliver a good time. And I know I've been repeating a lot of the words that I said in this video, but again, it's about emphasis. I just want to put emphasis on these and make the small games seem bigger so that we can appreciate them more and give them the love that they deserve. I'm not the biggest fan of all these games. Again, there's a lot of times I would rather play one of my bigger box games, but if the situation calls for it, these fill that spot perfectly. It's better to play a small game than no game at all, in my opinion. So anyways, that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you have any more reasons to support small games, post it down there as well. I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. I always love your input. And yeah, again, that's all I got for you today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, here at Nerd In, we hope you enjoy your stay, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.